I remember Ghetto Cowboy, which I was enjoying again this week. I remember one of my, there's a lot of things to like about that book, but one of my favorite things is Cole's voice,
Mhm.
and how authentic it feels to me, acknowledging that I haven't met Cole, so I couldn't 100% guarantee that it is, but it feels extremely authentic. So, do you have an acting background? How do you get into the character and you create that?
I mean, because I've worked in film and theater, like I've been around actors, I've dabbled, but I would never call myself an actor. But it does feel like acting through these characters in a way. Um, I found it very like when I started working with kids, like particularly like middle school kids early on, I found it very easy to talk to them and relate to them and kind of go back to that time in my life. And, you know, I like the way people really talk as opposed to like, I mean, some people are brilliant writers and they could write a sentence that's so beautiful you could like frame it. But
Yes,
that's
you
not,
are one of those writers.
yeah, but I don't think of myself as one of those writers. Like I think I can do that through somebody else's voice, right? So I don't like to write beautiful sentences. I like to write beautiful dialogue, like how people talk or how that person is telling the story. And if they're like some urban kid, that gives me a lot of leeway. You know, I can mix it up, I can run on. It can be totally grammatically incorrect, but it's real, right? And so that voice is the key for me telling a story all the time. So once I find the voice, and it's just a matter of like, you know, my process is really like treasure hunting. I'm collecting stories. So Ghetto Cowboy takes place in a particular neighborhood in North Philadelphia that's very unusual. And you know, my job is to just like a sociologist, just collect stories, like oral stories from people, things that had happened, you know, crazy little incidents, like stories you would just tell at a party, like this crazy thing happened, you know, and just kind of meet all different kinds of people. And then, it, you know, creates a canvas, like a world, and you get a feeling for how people are and how they talk, you know, because people everywhere talk with a certain, you know, use certain words in different parts of the country, certain dialects, certain, you know, affectations, you know, how they dress, how they carry themselves. So to me, that's kind of key. Like once you kind of get that, then you can kind of get a feeling for a place through the people, you know. So that's really what I'm looking for. And I don't even do it like consciously, you know. I just like absorb it, you know. And then the voice starts talking, you know, as I write, as I play around with it, you know. So it's very organic and very kind of like I don't try to force it, you know. I try to let it happen.
I saw on Facebook just today that you have discovered a what a speak text to text feature on Word that
The
you're talking
dialect,
about. You might
the
write a whole novel
dialect,
that way.
yeah,
So how
yeah,
would that maybe change the process? Would you be in your office actually acting out the character, you think?
maybe, you know, it's kind of interesting idea because I'm doing that in my head in a way, and I'm just wondering like what would happen if I just played the dialogue out, you know, like act it out. I'm doing it internally, but what if I like physically did it? So it might be an interesting experiment, but it is useful for other things because sometimes like my brain moves faster than I can write. So if I can just say it, it seems to be able to keep up to me with me. You know, I can just like rattle it off and it keeps up. So maybe.
And you write about you. I mean, you've just got a diverse body of work. I mean, you're writing about Johnny Cash. You're writing about Harper Lee and Truman Capote as children. Different time periods. Different all sorts of different characters. So how does your process change when you're dealing with a completely new character, something you haven't
it's
done before?
it's really just about my own personal interest, like stumbling across something, a story like so fascinating. I just want to know more. instantly. And so it really doesn't matter what kind of story it is or what time period or what, who the protagonists are. It's really about that story. Like a great story is a great story, like period to me. And there are certain borders to that, in that things like fantasy and science fiction are more difficult to me because there's an aspect of, like, it's not real because it's a fantastic world that doesn't exist. You're in outer space, you're this or that, so it's hard for me to paint that picture when it's so unreal, even though there are people that do it fantastically. For me to do it is very hard because I can't feel it. It's not, I can't see it. I can't go there. I can't talk to those people. So there's kind of a limit to that in terms of what I feel comfortable doing. But in terms of place or time period, like I can go to Monroeville and literally walk in the footsteps. Like I did a little documentary, little 10-minute piece that's on my website about that, just walking in the footsteps, and also Johnny Cash, and you can go to places that are exactly as they were, and you can stand in the fields behind Johnny Cash's tiny home that he grew up in, and you can feel, like, he talked about the earth being like gumbo, and I never understood what that was until I stepped in the mud behind his house, and I lifted up my foot, and my boot was just stuck in the mud, and my foot literally just came out of my boot, and like this, just being stuck in this place, and the wind blowing across the plains, and it's just empty as far as the eye you can see in any direction, just like totally isolated, desolate. That is like, that's something I can work with because it's like immediate and it's like powerful, right? So, like, yeah, it doesn't matter even if it's 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you can still find the thing that can help paint you the picture in your head.